former flat earthers, what made you come round? Kyrie Irving hasn't been doing press conferences. Man's just disappeared from the court, like he fell off the disc. He be wishing the earth was round now. Nah man. He wants to hide in the corners. If the earth is round, he'll eventually be found. The Mobius strip earthers had more compelling arguments. No, there would be no need for arguments, since we're all on the same side. Read this comment and kept scrolling, and then spent a whole 5 seconds to come back, and upvoted when it finally sunk in. Shame it wasn't a Mobius thread. You could have just kept going, and ended up back at the same comment. Quote I got from somewhere. For 5 years I believed the earth was flat. Then I turned 6 feet. Ellie 5. You'll understand when you're older. Just realize that response applies to almost all Ellie 5s. I watched a documentary about flat earthers called Truth Behind the Curve, and my analysis from watching that these flat earthers are a group of people who found a community to be a part of. It's a shame their community is based on a lie. But I saw a bunch of people who were to be part of a community. Most of the people were social, awkward and whatnot, and so an opportunity to be an influential figure within the community, so they double down on their flawed logic. The more against you are of them, the harder they rep their flatness. TLDR, I see flat earthers as a group of lonely people looking for a community that will accept them. Edit. WTF, did not expect this comment to blow up. Thanks for the silver and the dialogue everyone. They actually did an experiment, and that if they got one result, the earth was flat. If they got the other, it was round. Experiment showed that the earth is drumroll round. They claimed it was human error that caused the wrong result. They also spent $20,000 on a very precise gyroscope. Of course it showed a 15°/hour drift, thus proving the spherical earth. They didn't accept this result and blamed it on picking up the rotation of the heavens. So they did another experiment with the gyroscope in a zero Gauss chamber so that the sky wouldn't affect it. Same result. And they still claimed something else must have been wrong. There is nothing that will convince these people. At least these deeper entrenched bigger name people are too far in and can't ever leave their group that they are so tied to. I also believe a lot of the higher up people absolutely do not believe the earth is flat and are just grifting people for the money. Look, it's really easy. If the earth is flat, there would be an edge or edges, and there would be a ducking Disney park at the edge, and we could bungee jump off the side and paraglide into the void etc etc. Someone would be making an absolute shit ton of money off of it if it existed. Guess what? Nobody is doing that. ADN in this world where absolutely everything is exploited for profit. If no one is making money off of it, it does not exist. No edge. Not flat. Get a clue. Let's not forget ITDB, the cleanest and success guaranteed suicide. I mean, depending what's down there, unless it's an endless void and all you do is keep falling until you starve. You know what? Never mind. And if that was the case, it would be the best way to dispose of toxic waste and garbage. Just yeet it into the ducking void. I was debating a flat earther in Mexico, and I asked him about how GPS worked if there were no satellites. He said that they had devices in the ground to route you. I told him the Mexican government is barely able to put decent water pipes in the ground. Would he really think they had the tech to put routing devices in the ground? He chuckled with a 1,000-mile gaze. I mean, with all the money go to routing devices in the ground, no wonder there is no money left. Shit, he's got a point. Lol. Thankfully they can't put together any sort of real debate to save their lives. This is a funny sort of trump card that doesn't really make sense. But in the moment I'd maybe be taken aback and have to concede I don't believe it. But if that's what they believe, I can't honestly dispute it. This is why arguing in good faith sucks, haha. Same with anti-vaxxers. When logic gets in their way, they just call me a sheep and run away. A serious answer here. The thing that made me stop was just the question, why would NASA lie to you? This a solid point. There's no way 70,000 scientists could keep it a secret. Edit. Since this is getting tons of replies and a lot are addressing the Manhattan Project, I'll address it here. Yes, they did a great job at keeping it a secret while it was happening, but it inevitably came out. My point is addressing that this secret would be impossible to continue to stay secret, especially during the current information age. That's the biggest reason for me to not believe so many conspiracy theories, especially major ones like a flat earth. We know how often things leak about everything, and suddenly a collection of tens of thousands of people are all gonna keep this one big secret? Flat earth is absolutely shit tier. It not only fails on the level you described, but also, why? Why pretend the shape of the earth is different than it is? When does someone convene a higher level meeting to circulate that idea? The inclined seat conformed perfectly to his body, strategically placed in the cockpit, so he could reach no buttons with outstretched arms. The straps anchored him firmly in place. They were uncomfortable but necessary. The engine burst to life with a roar that burned out all the other audio. The vibrations tore through his body, and he felt his body sink back into the seat as the G-force began to take hold. The captain was watching the readouts on the LED displays and monitoring their trajectory as the acceleration began to peel his thoughts away. There was no more room in his brain. It had been filled by pure fear. The boosters grew with greater ferocity as they lifted higher into the sky, the sun beaming down on the left side of the shuttle. But faster they went, through maximum Q and higher into the stratosphere, until the engines grew quieter, the air more silent, and the vibrations became less violent. They were approaching space, the final frontier, an hour later, and with the path of the shuttle a success. He noticed as his raw emotions withdrew that his body felt funny. Hair drifted aimlessly across his eyes as the captain's pen hovered in midair, and he knew the impossible was true. His childhood dream. He was in space, weightless. The captain turned around to him and motioned him to unhook his seat belts. He did as he was commanded. They both left their chairs and glided over to the tiny glass windows to overlook the magnificence of Earth. "What do you think now?" said the captain. He recoiled in horror. It couldn't be. NASA had replaced the windows with high-definition screens in order to perpetrate their lies that the world was spherical. Those bastards. On Behind the Curve on Netflix, two of the flat earthers accuse the moon of being a giant TV screen controlled by NASA. You aren't too far off. It could be. Once I think I saw a Windows alert screen pop up on the moon and a cursor quickly clicked on the OK button. Fools. They should only apply updates on a new moon. Had to travel to Japan. Gave up on my beliefs in order to make a shorter trip. I said the same thing on another post. However, someone more familiar with the conspiracy said they believe the Earth is actually a circle with the North Pole in the middle, with the South Pole or Antarctica encircling us. For me, it just brought up more questions. They think the Earth is a big pizza with a crust made of icy mountains. The North Pole is the center where all the slices meet. The pizza is on a rotating plate with a small heat lamp that can only cover about half the pizza. Sorry, I'm kind of hungry. r/tasty explanations. I spent about a year infiltrating the flat earth community on Instagram. I garnered a decent following with an account dedicated to flat earth travel photos, an intentionally absurd premise. In that time I learned quite a bit about the community, including how to discern the trolls from the real deal. The majority of legit flat earthers are extremely distrustful of anything the government says or does. These same people are 9/11 truthers, Holocaust deniers, and anti-vaxxers, and they connect these conspiracies together. Many of them have also attached flat earth theory to religion, magic, or mysticism. Before my infiltration, it always considered conspiracies fun, like they were the fan fiction of real life. Now they mostly make me sad. For all the funny accounts like mine, there are still plenty of people out there willing to drop a couple of $100 on a flat earth convention. Yeah, it seems really important to validate people and acknowledge their underlying concerns, rather than mock or belittle them. I'd acknowledge their mistrust of the government, but remind them that the government is made of humans who are faulty and fail. Big conspiracies tend to fall apart. Then I'd invite them to consider other possible explanations for what they believe. It's still hard to reach them, but at least acknowledging their underlying concerns, I think, helps open them up a little bit. Mockery and throwing facts and logic at them without empathy is less effective. You're certainly right. My platform actually gave me an opportunity to reach segments of society I'd have otherwise never interacted with. I would occasionally DM people to try to open a dialogue about the things they believed in, even if I fundamentally disagreed with them. It was interesting to understand why they believe the things they do. I don't think I changed any minds, but it certainly helped me broaden my own understanding a little. If someone starts as a round earther and then converts to being a flat earther and then goes back to being a round earther, would you say they've come full circle? Once they've realized their mistake, I'd say they're really on the ball. Though I imagine flat earthers would say they're the level-headed ones. Fe'd say that, but really they're afraid. People fear what they don't understand. I was tired of living life on the edge. I've been to the edge. And I've been to the edge. Yes, I've been to the edge. I've been to the edge. And God knows, if I've looked down. I've been to the edge. Where have you been? Didn't quite get that. The edge. No one took me seriously. It was a typo. We discovered the earth was fat. Not just heavy. Not merely big bone, but genuinely fat. Fat Earthers United. I tried to convince others that the earth is a circle, but they wouldn't listen. It's pointless. They just keep on going on circles. Did any of you former flat earthers just believed because you wanted to be unique and different from everyone else? I suspect that some people who deny shit like this are the same people who just want to be different. They'll say they disliked a movie because the majority likes it. They'll say they don't enjoy a type of food cause most do. Basically, they don't really care how they truly feel about something. They just want to be different and say the opposite of the majority. Maybe not with everything, but they'll choose a few things in life because they want to feel special. It's because most conspiracy theories, even the really complex ones, are about solving their deep-seated sense that something is wrong with the world, rather than looking at how things are structured economically and socially, because that is infinitely more complex than even the most insane conspiracy theories. They simply reduce the world to good guys and bad guys and sheep. It's comforting for many to think that the world is no more complex than a long-running TV show. Having a big, evil, scary thing with a face is less terrifying than infinite chaos, with really no one in charge of it all. That's also partly why religion plays so much of a factor into many conspiracies. Yup, they're too scared to believe that the world is truly just as chaotic, meaningless, and uncontrollable as it seems. For them, it's comforting to think that if only the evil controller could be stopped, things would be finally okay. My Phil is a flat earther and all around nutcase. I asked him if the earth was flat and you was right. What then? How is your life any different? His face was priceless because he didn't have an answer. It was great. It took about 5 years. It was out of willful ignorance on my part. I just refused to question the logic of it. In fact, I spent most of my time coming up with crazy fantasies about a lot of things I didn't understand. But you have to understand that there is just so much we don't know about that sometimes our priority on what is real and what can be believed can get confused. I was learning so much so fast that I really didn't question something so inane as the world being flat. Of course it was. Why wouldn't it be? The day that changed it forever though was when I asked my father what happens when you get to the edge of the world. He of course said the world is round like a ball. Being about 5 years old, I thought that made a lot of sense. Underrated comment. You had me till the end. I'm upvoting just for the pun. I see what people think about the shape of the earth, as long as we all agree that we kinda need to do something about it so that we don't perish. Show me a flat earther who doesn't mistrust all science. When I was a tutor, there was this guy who went back to college to get a degree. We dealt with everything from the top of the class students to special needs students. He was doubtful of science because it has been wrong in the past and was very stubborn and bad at logic. What he did was hear a description of something, and if it made sense he would latch onto it. If it didn't, he would say it is false entirely. Vaccines are good for you. Yep, it is like a workout for your immune system. Earth is round. Nope, it looks flat when I look at it. He was very hard to help because he would argue with you about everything. Try to explain anything in a non-intuitive way and he would ask countless questions. And once you need to check for an answer he would treat it like a gotcha, and like the whole explanation is wrong. He enjoyed explaining a scientific topic the way a stoner tries though with things half right. I always have 2 questions for flat earthers. 1. Do you believe in Pearl Harbor? 2. If yes, can you explain to me Japan's flight path? They did use aircraft carriers. Hey PSSST. Please subscribe and like.